It's big. All right, so get out your wallet. I'm telling you, this is enough to make you sick. So here comes the U.S. Supreme Court, and here is to your health. Not. So, feeling fit or just having fits? Americans for Tax Reform's Mattie Duppler says, having fits. Mattie, we forget the bad part, don't we? I was noticing in all this wonderful harp-like heaven music on the great things that were protected, they left out the price.
Right. Well, Neil, maybe the media left out all the bad parts, but we certainly remember exactly what this health care law is. And you mentioned this might be in January 2013, the biggest tax hike, I don't know since the Roman Empire, but certainly is in American history. And Obamacare is a big reason why. You know, just taking the individual mandate tax alone that the Supreme Court held up today, this is something that is going to probably cost, when it's fully phased in 2016, people from $600 to $2,000. And these are people, too. JCT tells us over half the people who will be paying this individual mandate tax will be making less than $35,000 a year. So remember, this is Obamacare put in place by President Obama, who campaigned on a firm pledge over and over again never to raise taxes on anyone making more than $250,000 a year. 35 is less than 250, and he's broken this promise time and time again. The Supreme Court telling us today that the individual mandate is a tax shows you once again that he has broken this pledge to the American people.
And by the way, lost in that very great argument, too, is just the simple fact that flexible spending accounts that a lot of Americans swear by are going to be sharply curtailed and limited and almost phased out. But leaving that aside, I've got to wonder now whether the media is simply not doing its job. I mean, it's one thing to herald some of these features that a lot of people like. I think most of us, unless we're very callous, are for covering people with pre-existing conditions and not leaving them stranded. But we should report on that and report on the costs that are going to ensue as a result, and make note of the fact that Justice Roberts did fine-tune this to address, for what it was, a tax, and the slippery slope it would be for the Supreme Court, no less, to be ruling on a tax. And I know a lot of conservatives hate the guy for, really parsing the language that way, but he was more or less telling Congress, your tax, you're voted, you have to decide whether Americans should keep you or not for that.
Sure. And, I can appreciate that he's making an argument saying, we're an apolitical branch. The problem with this is look at the precedent it sets. The government is telling us that essentially they can tell you to do whatever they want as long as they enforce it by a fine or tax. This is a frightening idea. Can they tell you that you have to ride a bike to work because it's somehow healthier than taking your car and they can tax you if you don't? Now where does it end with this new standard? We're not quite sure. And, as you mentioned, these taxes and fees, we don't have a lot of reporting on the big or the little things. We only see like the big ideas that the media wants to report on. A lot of these taxes already kicked in 2010. A lot of people are already paying for these penalties. Oh, and the big ones to come. And
remember, anyone who sells a house, if you haven't sold in a long time and you've accumulated property, let's say you got 200 grand or more, you've made all this, boom, you've got a nearly 4% surtax on that purchase. And that's just one of the many areas of unearned income that are going to get walloped. But, there are the surprises. We just laid them out, and you just did brilliantly. Mattie, thank you very much.
Thank you, Neil.
All right, well, none of